Hey guys, welcome back to another Final Fantasy Record Keeper video. I'm Alan, and today I want to talk to you guys about what abilities you should invest in. Um, as I mentioned in the previous video, there's still a lot of new players who are joining the game, which is great. And I hope this video can help some new players, uh, decide what abilities to invest in, because at this point there are a lot more abilities than there were when I first started the game, and it could be very overwhelming to be like, oh, what do I focus on first, etc. So I'm going to talk about in this video what abilities you should get, what abilities you should prioritize, and then I'll go over what abilities that you should get once you have the priority ones done and you're going for luxury, right? So first things first, the first ability for physical teams is Life Siphon, right? So Life Siphon deals physical damage to one target and charge the user's soul break gauge a large amount, which is absolutely fantastic. You should have one Life Siphon for each of your DPS characters. I typically use 2 on a team, so I have 2 Life Siphons, but sometimes I use 3, so I do have a third Life Siphon ready to go, also at rank 5. You want to max these out because if you have powerful soul breaks, you want to be able to use them as soon as possible and as often as possible. Okay, the next abilities that you should invest in are Spellblade abilities, right? This one, you Spellblade steal HP from one target, but you should also invest in all of the elemental ones as well. First, you would start off with the 3-star ones. They'll last you for a very long time, honestly. And once you have all of these maxed out and ready to go, then you can invest in their 4-star counterparts. But these, like I said, the 3-star ones are kind of staple. 4-star ones are luxury, so you don't have to worry about those. Not for a while, anyways. Just focus on getting your basic Spellblade abilities to rank 5, so that you have something to hit bosses with if they have an elemental requirement. Okay, the next ability you should focus on are the breakdown abilities, right? So over here, magic breakdown, armor breakdown, and then power breakdown. Wait, oops, I forgot one. Sorry. Where's mental breakdown? Here you go. All right. So for the breakdown abilities, the one you want to prioritize first are the defensive breakdowns. So magic breakdown, try to get that one maxed out first, and then power breakdown. These ones, trust me, the amount of damage they reduce from bosses is absolutely worth having at rank 5. So try to get those maxed out. Armor breakdown after that, especially if you're using a physical team. Like, every little bit of damage counts when you're fighting against a boss with 180 to 200 difficulty. And then mental breakdown. This one, it's a little bit hit or miss. I personally wouldn't recommend maxing this one out if you don't have to. If you can afford it, keep it at rank 3 or something, because physical teams are the better way to go, and this one reduces resistance. So this one's good if you have a mage team, but mage teams just pale in comparison to physical teams. So if you can avoid maxing this, well, not avoid, but I'm just saying you don't have to prioritize mental breakdown as much as the other ones, okay? Power breakdown and power breakdown, magic breakdown, armor breakdown. You don't have to worry about mental breakdown as much, okay? And then the last thing that you should focus on is your white mage abilities. So Kirija, if you get Kirija maxed out as soon as you can in the beginning, you'll be using the rank 3 one, and that should be sufficient. But once you get strong enough, make sure you prioritize Kirija. I mean, it's a great ability to have. You can't go wrong with restore very large amount of HP to one target, right? You can't go wrong with that. The next ability that you should get is Protectiga, right here, and then, oops, no, not that, and then Shelga. Okay, so doubles your resistance for Shelga, obviously, and then Protectiga doubles your defense. This buff affects your whole party, and the thing is, for this one, you only need to keep it at rank 2. I mean, I've never had to use more than 4 in a battle because these things last a ridiculously long amount of time. So you can save some greater white orbs like that. So just get your Shogun Protectica to rank 2, and then once again, like I said, invest in your Kiraja. Try to max that out as soon as possible. Okay, so these are pretty much the staple abilities that you would need for a physical team. Like I said, Life Siphon, try to get 2 of them, or try to get 1 for each of your DPS bruisers. Get this one maxed out, get 2 of them. Spell Blades, work on the rank 3 Spellblade, rank 3 Elemental Spellblades first, and then work your way up. Once you have everything, the prioritized abilities done, then work your way up to the rank 4 Spellblade abilities. But I've mentioned, like I said before, you don't really need these per se. These are just more luxury once you have everything, maxed out, or your priority things. If you have a mage team, these are the abilities that I would recommend you invest in early on. So let's go over it, and then I'll show you like what the luxury abilities are later. So when you're first starting off, if you have a mage team, the abilities that you want to have maxed out are the basic elemental abilities, like the 3-star ones, Firiga, Thundaga, Blizzaga, and so on, right? So you want to have all these 3-star abilities maxed out when you can. And then once you have these maxed out rank 3 elemental abilities, you can then start investing in the 4-star elemental abilities. I mean, these ones, they have a higher multiplier, they do more damage, but keep in mind the damage cap is capped at 10,000, 9,999. So against a boss who's vulnerable to this, like vulnerable to a specific element, typically the 3-star ones are enough, and then try to invest in Drainaga. I mean, this is pretty good. It's good for leveling up. If you're doing the EXP dungeons, this could help you sustain, etc. And then with the additional orbs, like summon abilities are pretty okay to invest in as well. I would personally recommend investing in the non-elemental damage ones, like the Valifer and this one right here. It does 2 summon magic non-elemental attacks to all enemies, so that's pretty sweet. Before they only did 1 damage, but a while ago they gave them a buff, so now it does 2 hits, so you can potentially hit for more than 10,000 damage if your magic is high enough. And the thing about magic is that magic is incredibly straightforward. It's it just does damage. It's elemental damage. That's it. You go into a boss battle, you bring this, and you're like, okay, whatever. Just hit him as hard as you can with as much damage as you can. Not a lot of utility here. That's why mage teams are not ideal in Final Fantasy Record Keeper, because there's very little magic abilities that offer utility as well. Unlike physical characters who have Life Siphon, which gives utility. You can charge your soul break faster, or the armor breakdown, magic breakdown, etc. Okay, so once you have the basic, if you're still interested in using a mage team, once you've finished these, the rank 3 abilities, let's go over the luxury abilities, right? Like, this is assuming that you finished your Life Siphons, your magic breakdowns, Kiraja, Protectica, all these 4-star abilities. Then you can start investing in other abilities that could be beneficial to you. Okay, so let's see. For the 6-star abilities, you don't really need to bother investing in these. These are so expensive to make, and in the beginning you won't even have enough material to make this, because you can only get because to make these abilities you need the crystal from the nightmare dungeons, which early on you probably won't be able to defeat. So don't even worry about 6-star abilities. 5-star abilities, these are super luxury. They're very hard to hone up. I mean, I've been playing for 2 years. I don't even have a maxed out rank 5 ability yet, you know. I mean, unless you play hardcore and whatever. I think I play pretty casually at this point. But yeah, the abilities that you want to get for 5-star, you know, just to have, because they're actually really useful. Full break is a good choice, and multi break is a good choice. Any other 5-star abilities? Oh, I'm sorry, and yeah, pretty much any other 5-star abilities is pretty based on personal preference, you know. So that's what I have to say for 5-star and 6-star abilities. So 6-star abilities don't even bother. 5-star abilities depends on your preference. So now let's go over the 4-star abilities. Okay, so Ruinga is really good for clearing mobs in the EXP dungeon. You know, you hit this, you combine this with Drainiga, you can AoE clear the mobs, and then if you take a little bit too much damage, you could sustain up with Drainiga. You know, right here. So those two are luxury abilities for leveling up. You know, once you have the rank three basic elemental abilities maxed out. I would recommend getting a second Kirija, you know, maxed out. Like, as you can see, I have 2 Kirijas maxed out, because sometimes for boss battles, you do need a second white mage. Like, the boss can be extremely difficult, especially if you don't have the right soul break relics for it. So just something that I suggest you do. Just get a second Kirija. I mean, trust me, if you play the game long enough, you'll have a lot of extra greater white orbs, greater wind orbs, and what I think holy orbs lying around anyways. Cure Raise is another ability. I mean, I made it because I had a lot of extra orbs lying around, but against when you're doing multiplayer battles and the boss can OHKO you, you know, this is a pretty good ability to have. Like, you know, against the latest multiplayer raid is Gilgamesh, and he has a chance to one-hit KO your character. So, you know, having Cure Raise, you know, being able to revive character could be helpful as well. Okay, summon abilities, you can invest in the elemental ones, you know, Leviathan or whatever. Carbuncle is a good ability to have. It gives the whole party Reflect. So if you're going against like Seymour or something who does a lot of single target multicast elemental abilities, Carbuncle giving your whole party Reflect could save you a lot of damage and could potentially even win you the fight, right? We got, like I said, 4-star Spellblade abilities. Luxury, of course, right? Because in the beginning, you need to invest all of your greater power orbs into Life Siphon and the breakdown abilities. Blade Blitz is another luxury ability for leveling up. You know, you go into the XP dungeon, or like an Orb Fest dungeon, and then you just one-shot everything, and then you complement that with you know, Leaping Leech or Drain Strike, and you can level up really, really fast that way. Yeah, if you like, oh, I forgot to mention, Steel Power is a pretty good one too. It's essentially like Power Breakdown, but it's for Thief. So if you have a Thief character, you can invest in Power Break or Steel Power, and then it's pretty much as good as, you know, Power Breakdown. Unfortunately, there's no Steel Magic, unfortunately, but there's a lot of other cool abilities like Mug Time, etc. Vanishing Strike. This one's a really good knight ability to have. Does holy damage, so if you're going against a boss that has a holy weakness, that's great. If there's a dispel requirement, that's also great. Like in the current FF5 event, where one of the requirements I believe is you have to dispel Bartz's haste. So bring Vanishing Strike if you have a knight, you know, like Cecil or something like that. That could be really beneficial to you. Let's see, what other abilities are worth investing? Oh, okay. Temple Fairy is good. For Fortunately, this one's only a 3-star ability, but against a boss that has a slow requirement, if you're using a physical team, bringing Sloga is just not practical. Sloga is a really bad ability, but how are you gonna get that slow requirement? If you have a character that has Temple Flare, it does 2 hits, has a chance to slow. This is a good way to go. I have 2 of these, one for each of my DPS guys that I use. Elemental jump ability, just for fun. Draw Fire is good to have, maxed out. Once again, 3-star abilities get pretty easy to farm up. And then Retaliate. Retaliate is a great 2-star, but probably the best 2-star ability in the game. Most people don't like to use it at this point because they don't need it anymore, but if you're starting off, you might consider using this. Cloud can use it, Gilgamesh, Sephiroth, etc. And if you combine this with Draw Fire, it's pretty OP. This is I'm going old school here, so I'll tell you about this. So, Draw Fire makes it so that the target can only attack the user of Draw Fire, right? And then Retaliate automatically, like I said, automatically counter physical attacks received for the duration of the abilities. But the thing is, Retaliate will automatically make any physical attack go to you miss. So the mob or boss that is attacking you is forced to attack the character that has Retaliate up. So your character will not take any damage because of Retaliate's awesome effect, and then you'll just counterattack for damage, free damage pretty much. So there you go. I think I covered everything. These are all the abilities that I have so far that I've invested in, that I've needed. Everything else has been kind of, not really needed. But yeah, I hope this helps. I know it was a bit of a longer video. But yeah, these are the abilities that I think you should invest in, that you should prioritize, and then, later on get luxury abilities. You can get those later on. Anyways, take care, and I'll see you guys next time.